AAA bad, indie good.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
That's how I was thinking to actually, start recording this episode. By just saying that, like, for a minute and just stretching the shit out of it.
Are you done? Are you done?
But honestly, it's kind of impressive how we've gone from AAA publishing being the only way you can get your ideas out to the public. And if it's a new IP, you gotta think, Lord Jesus Christ, if it even sells more than 100k copies. Because otherwise, studio disbanded, get the fuck out of here. But that's not how it is anymore, because Steam exists. We've already proven that indie games can succeed and break records over and over again. You can get your small team of hot boys and gamer girls to make their unfiltered game with, no interference from an outside force telling you like, I don't know if that's gonna sell well with our customer base, so you better get that shit out of my face. We've seen that with Hollow Knight, Celeste. Even though that game is bullshit sometimes, but I digress. These games have proven that indie developers are the way of the future. These indie devs need no AAA publisher to hassle them around and destroy their creative vision, because we've seen this since the days of the Xbox 360. Like, we saw this with Super Meat Boy, we saw this with the Behemoth launching Castle Crashers and Battle Block Theater. These games, like, pretty much told us, like, hey, wake up, these games were made just two dudes in a fucking basement, you can do this shit too. And after that, something sparked, something clicked. The stars aligned for what would end up becoming the poster child of indies to be born. You already saw the title. It's Shovel Knight, baby! Sorry, got a little excited there, but let's move on. Hi, my name is Hector, and if you want to join me, I want to take you down memory lane to the year of 2014, year of our Lord, to talk about one of the biggest wake-up calls for developers worldwide. So I welcome you to a Shovel Knight retrospective. Now, full disclaimer. This is the Nintendo Switch version that I'm playing. That's where I played all of the campaigns, and that's where I got my Shovel Knight gist for the first time. I don't own an Xbox One nor a PS4, so I'm not going to be talking about the amazing boss battles that I've seen. So, with that out of the way, now let's finally dig in. Pun entirely intended. Shut up. Shovel of Hope was the first game in the series, and we gotta start somewhere, so let's begin. The idea of the game started from the minds of these two shovelheads after, and I quote, a joke conversation over lunch that kinda got too serious. Nick and Sean were animator and director respectively at WayForward, with Nick working on games such as Shantae Risky's Revenge, and Sean directing games like Double Dragon Neon and A Boy and His Blob. As these two nerds started talking about what mechanics they liked the most out of old NES games, they stumbled upon the down thrust in Zelda 2. And they must have been like, don't stop me, because they threw everything they had at the wall. But there was one problem. They thought that, unlike Zelda 2, a sword wouldn't work for the kind of mechanic that they were thinking of. So somebody on the team decided,
Okay, it's time for one of our favorite games on the show called What If It Was
Shovel.
Up first we have a pencil.
After this conversation, it was clear to the devs that this was no longer a joke. This was leading up to something. So they decided to leave WayForward in 2013 with a handful of other shovel boys and created Yacht Club Games, with Sean stating, we want to continue Way Forward's retro tradition at Yacht Club. Our serious and solemn goal is to make really awesome games that fuse modern and retro game philosophies. They made the jump. There was no going back. The team needed funding for the game. They weren't just gonna fund all of it out of pocket. And they made a Kickstarter. The crowdfunding campaign sold the game as a return to the classic 8-bit style of the retro era, and so they used their platform to spread the word as fast and as efficiently as they could. And they did it. With an original goal of $75,000, Shovel Knight raised a grand total of $311K, funded by an astounding 14,000 backers. And they decided, you know what, we're gonna go to PAX. And for those of you who don't know, PAX is a con. And usually there they show the work that has been done on certain games. You know, indies attend, AAA studios attend. It's basically a giant video game convention. The team planned to show the project in the next few days, and they'd be attending that year's PAX East from March 22nd to March 24th to greet the public. And at PAX, they had to show what had been done. You know, we paid money for this thing, so what are you gonna show us? But after the launch of the Kickstarter and its success, the team left with a different emotion. While the backers had hope, Yacht Club had uncertainty. They didn't feel like they had anything good to show at PAX. To have an idea of how unsure the team was of any demo coming to the event, I'm gonna quote Sean Velasco. A week before PAX, we didn't know if we were going to miss the show. If we didn't have anything, we were going to pull beanbag chairs and play Mario 64 with a sign that said, Shovel Knight, coming soon. Now, if that isn't depressing, I don't know what is. Now, keep in mind as well, the Kickstarter began on March 14th, and PAX was almost a week away.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Is it launching?
It's launching. Look at it.
No, I don't believe it.
It's launched!
Oh my god, oh my god. Okay, alright. Okay, you guys. Okay, you guys. Alright, alright. Alright, are you ready? Let's get, I guess. Alright, we gotta get to work. Alright.
Fortunately, the team managed to keep their composure and get a demo out in time for a public showing. Thank God. The demo shown at the event was completely different from what the game would look like on release. We usually like to see things before they reach a state of completion, but with Shovel Knight it was kind of quirky though. Things like the render of the gems and relics, they looked foreign compared to what they are today. Even the art of certain characters for verbal exchanges, you know, the little boxes they have showing the character models, they looked thinner and more serious, and they eventually changed for a more close-up render for each character, you know, more with a more animated and cartoony style. And after the demo of the game premiered on PAX, word of the game spread like wildfire. I don't want to do an Australia joke, but it was pretty much that. If the Kickstarter was the spark that caught people's interest, then PAX would be that flame that powered up the hype train. After PAX, the team had a whole year to complete the game, and things like the stretch goals, which we'll talk about later, were added in future updates of the game. But the promised product arrived on June 26th, 2014, and the response was unlike anything the team imagined. The game exploded in popularity. Channels like the Game Grumps and Super Best Friends Play gave the game a fan base that was growing by the day. To have an idea, the Game Grumps fan base was first introduced to it when Ross came with a Shovel Knight cosplay and started beating the shit out of Dan and Aaron. And a PAX organizer tried to stop them, but then he revealed himself to that, and God, I must sound so stupid right now. And guess what? It was a success. It climbed the charts of the eShop on the 3DS and Wii U, because this was a time in which the 3DS and Wii U was still alive, and I think everybody wants to forget those days. And on Steam, it managed to get to the top 10. Oh, you're not impressed? Oh, I forgot to mention this was on the summer sale. Yeah, widely regarded as one of the busiest months on Steam. It managed to crack through it, being a completely new game from an unproven studio. I mean, if that's not inspiring, you better see a doctor, baby. After a month, it expanded to other platforms like Good Old Games and Humble Bundle, with PS4 and Xbox One ports releasing later. And the game ended up selling 180,000 copies initially. Other indie games would follow Shovel Knight's approach and use Kickstarter to varying degrees of success. For every Mighty No. 9 in Yooka-Laylee, there was a Bloodstained and an Undertale. And basically, this showed a new generation of developers that you can make it into the industry without a publisher or a big AAA budget. For starters, Shovel Knight's team had only 4 people. 3 of them were close and working, and the other one was in the other side of the fucking earth. Honestly, to talk shit about Shovel Knight when it first came out would simply be denying the impact that it made, and this title, baby, it made everybody thirsty for more indies. Now that we've talked about how the Shovel Boys became Shovel Men, let's talk about the game, and what is it about? The game begins with the introduction of the Shovel Knight world, and we get introduced to our adventuring duo, and how things were before. Long ago, the lands were untamed and roamed by legendary adventurers. Adventure is rampant, and freedom is as present as ever. Out of all of these heroes, none shone brighter than Shovel Knight and Shield Knight. But the duo was to undergo a dreadful encounter at the Tower of Fate, when a cursed amulet wrought terrible magic and caused Shield Knight to be claimed by the tower. Shovel Knight was left alone, mourning the disappearance of his beloved partner. And with a spirit broken, Shovel Knight retreated to a life of solitude as a farmer. With few champions remaining, a new group swept the lands. It was spearheaded by the Enchantress. Its name, the Order of No Quarter. And with the Enchantress opening the Tower of Fate and establishing herself as the baddest bitch of the tower, Shovel Knight decides to set himself on one final adventure. Okay, I know I was kind of dramatic there, and I shouldn't be obsessing over the story because, come on, this is a retro era game. This is like those opening cutscenes in Mega Man. Like they don't bear anything and any importance whatsoever. But part of what makes this work is that it has a lovable, colorful, and diverse cast of characters. Like the designs of each of these knightheads is so memorable. It makes me want to know more about them, and eventually we will. Stop with the foreshadowing, dumbass. We get it. But let's talk about the first level and how it introduces us to one of Yacht Club's main design philosophies. We start in the plains. Simple enough tutorial level, and to the common man, it's exactly that. Like, yeah, right, cool. Whatever. Who cares? But from a designer's point of view, this level is the basis for the whole game. And I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but this level basically shows you how the entire game is going to go down. Even though the game throws you right into the action, it leaves you a big plot of land to explore and see what's happening around you. And so we move left and right, until we find our first enemy, a little Beto. Now, this little Beto can be approached in a variety of ways. If the player isn't confrontational and doesn't want to risk everything, they can simply jump over him. Or, if you actually want to start learning the mechanics a little bit faster, you can use the Y button to kill that Beto with your shovel. And honestly, it doesn't matter which way you approach it because you're going to use these two moves later on. For example, if you want to jump over the Beto, then yeah, you're going to jump over the platforms, but you can't be pacifist the entire run because there are some parts in which simply that is not allowed. And if you want to just shovel that Beto and continue on, you're going to eventually have to jump over this platform. So, as I mentioned before, we keep moving, we kill more Betos, and we find these little yellow blocks. These can simply be shoveled up. And we find another very, very good piece of teaching in the form of these blocks again. But these are different. You can't just straight up go and dig them, because they're below you. So what can we do? Well, if you've learned anything from what the level told you, or you experimented a little bit in the beginning, you know that if you jump and press down, you can do a shovel drop. And you might just think, oh, so that's just what I do when I find these blocks. But there is a Beto perfectly placed under you. So why not try it on him? And you do, and it works, and it's so good. The level teaches you all of the mechanics without telling you how to play. They designed these areas specifically so that you can explore them and learn at your pace. It teaches even the most inexperienced players the basic gist of Shovel Knight's moveset. These moves are super basic, but very effective, and mastering them becomes super essential for the later parts of the game. But after we finish all the level, you know, find some secrets. Hey, nice, I got a gem. We got to our first real test. You know, this is the salty spittoon. You know, this differentiates between the Winnie Hot Juniors and the salties. We get introduced to our first boss. We meet up with Black Knight. The basic structure of the game from now on. Like, the Plains is super good at showing the mechanics of the game without telling us how to play. Usually on any game you get like a billboard back saying like, oh, you know, use this button so you can do this and that, but Shovel Knight leaves you to whatever you want to do. It tells you like, okay kid, you're dropped here, see ya. I'm not gonna do anything anymore, you know, I'm just make sure you don't drown or whatever. I love beginnings like these in a game. It leaves you to explore the world and experiment with whatever you have. But unlike the NES games of old that it's inspired by, it gives us more room to explore it. As I said, we have a bigger area. We have, at the start, we can go left, we can go right, you know, we have something big that we can try things on. We have a more relaxed environment. It doesn't throw the hard stuff right away like other games did. You know, it starts on the kiddie pool to eventually get to the big pool with all the big boys. Okay, so after that, we're free to go. Well, not so much free as in I go anywhere I can see you in, but it doesn't matter because it's not telling you to first go to this town and exchange your meal tickets and get more health and play this minigame and buy this thing, and did you know that you can buy shit from this guy and this and shit and that, and oh my god, is that a chicken? No! And that's what Yacht Club didn't want to do. It didn't want to talk down to players. It trusts your sense of adventure and discovery so that you find the tight little secrets. If you explore the world and have a little bit of curiosity, then you'll develop a keen eye for details that otherwise you wouldn't pick up on. Now, continuing with the bosses, I think that what makes the level so fun is how they're hyped up. And they're completely different from one another. Like, duh, if the game was the same level like 20 times, everybody would just call this shit a scam. Like, come on. When you get to them, they are so bigger than you think they are. Like, you see them on the map and it's like, okay, so I think, you know, it'll be kind of an evolution of the first. No, it's completely different every time. Pridemore Keep has giant pillars of gold. It's decorated with red banners, and it has medieval era enemies. You know, it has knights, it has bubonic plague, it has...
Oh, shit! Alright!
All these things that make it feel like its own self-contained piece in a bigger world. The Lich-Yar, you know, Spectre Knight stage, it has red walls and undead creatures, it has ghosts, it has skeletons, it has fucking tombstones. The Explodatorium has fire dispensing floors and giant vats of acid and chemicals, and this dude turns into a fucking yeti. The Iron Whale goes from that light blue calmed water to these dark purple backgrounds as you descend and get into it. And I'm not even halfway done. We have the 8-bit northern lights in the background of the stranded ship. We have the spinning gears and treadmills of the Clockwork Tower, with mechanized versions of some of the enemies you already encountered, and the beautiful sunset of the flying machine. Since the game is heavily inspired by titles like Mega Man and Castlevania, the main thing to get in the levels are relics. The relics allow you to have more of a diverse moveset aside from the already established basic moves. Each are found in secret areas of the level, and they are all amazing additions. Relics like the Flare Wand and the Chaos Sphere let you attack at a safer distance. The Propeller Dagger and the Mobile Gear, they let you overcome obstacles like pits and big jump gaps. The War Horn and the Throwing Anchor allow you to eliminate more enemies. The Alchemy Coin and the Fishing Rod give you the opportunity to receive more items in the levels, more money when you kill enemies, and chalice refills respectively. There's also the Face Locket, which you can use to turn invisible and go past enemies, but number 1, it's a cheap shot, and number 2, it's fucking useless, even though it has story significance in the later games, and it's quite adorable, and a very beautiful payoff, but Jesus Christ, nobody cares about the Face Locket, it's useless. Why do you put it in Yacht Club games? I just want to know. And to give you a helping hand for specific situations, you can buy chalices from the Troupple King, who gives you extra abilities like invincibility for 10 seconds and a refill on magic and health. Also, he does this.
Oh shit. You mind if I praise the Lord? Go ahead.
He looks so uncanny, but he's adorable and I love him. These things add to one of the main elements of the game, the bosses. But we will look into that and a lot more details about the game in the next video. Sorry for the cliffhanger and ballbuster of an ending, but it was for the sake of my computer and this video coming out. I hope you liked it. And stay tuned for part 2 because it's probably going to be as long. No, it is going to be as long as the first video, so it's probably going to come out in I think in a couple of weeks, if I put my mind into it. Don't expect anything, but yeah, if you really want to see it, just leave it in the comments as yeah, we want to see this shit. Please continue, because that's what keeps me going. Knowing the fact that there are people watching this is actually kind of euphoric, but yeah, I will update you on everything on the community tab, or I don't think I can have the community tab right now. Fuck it, just follow me on Twitter. If you want to know more about the video, just follow me on Twitter. Link in the description. Yeah. See you guys next time. Sorry for the cliffhanger ending, but yeah, I'll see you then.